Welcome to this delayed episode of episode 84 of the MK Productions podcast. So this episode was recorded before I left for vacation. I still want to do that vlog video, but I came back and I caught COVID. Yay! So this got delayed terribly to be released because the plan was to get this episode out before I left, but now we have this episode out now, and we're going to stay tuned for future episodes and that vlog video coming up from my adventures in Myrtle Beach that got me COVID. But please enjoy this episode. We talked about Jordan Peele, since by the time when we recorded this, Nope was brand new and everything. I still want to see Nope, and I'll try to have a review of it in the time being. But in the meantime, look out for a review of Bullet Train coming this weekend, and enjoy the video. Bye.
Yo, I hit the jeweler, got some goals. I sold a little weed, but I could never sell my soul. And when I'm in LA, you find me out in Lil Toke. Come a vocal with my ramen, I'ma need another blow. Let's go.
To quote a great philosopher from Shrek 2,
Police brutality! Police brutality!
welcome to this another edition of the MK Productions podcast. I'm your host, Matt, joined here as usual by co-host Christian, aka Miss Flamingo. How you doing today, Kristen?
Opening with Shrek, I see.
Yeah. But we're joined here by two new guests of the podcast. Like, we've never had these guys on before, and this is a big step, everything. So first of all, we're gonna introduce our main man from. I haven't talked to him in a while. The last time we were in the channel, we did the Star Wars script read, the College Trevorrow Duel of the Fates. Yep. So it's Dom. How is it going, man? What's going on?
Talking TV.
What's going on, guys? It's good to be here. I'm loving all the love and appreciation. You know, let's say it's been a while since we've been kind of all collaborating, so it's good. It feels like old times. You know, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be
It is
on your guys' channel. Yeah, well, it's the best of times, right? That was another ancient philosopher quote. And hey, I mean, given this is just the subject of the podcast here, I mean, the police brutality thing was just so timely. So
they were way ahead of the time. So, Kristen, do you want to introduce our other host?
Okay, so I had to introduce this guest because he's another fellow New Jerseyan. Look at that. Hey, he's giving a nice little bump up in the air. Please welcome Jon Burns. He has a YouTube channel, and I'm so happy he's here. So how
guys,
are you
how's it
doing
going
today?
Pretty good. You can find me on Burns Reviews. If I knew Dom was gonna be here, I would have stayed home. I would have just called Dom.
Understandable. I'll add you to the list of people along with Joe. Joe's still my biggest fan / detractor, so I'll add you to the list. Look, we all know you're all secretly jealous of me. All right, so just once you accept it, it just becomes that much better.
But no, I've been on Dom's pod before, and it was a good time. I mean, yeah, he is a chucklehead, but he's the lovable chucklehead, and we all love him.
Yeah. Somehow, hey, I'm the fun one of the podcast, so I mean, hey,
you have the hottest of takes, Dom.
Listen. Whatever else calls hot takes, I just call my takes. So
no, it's good. It's good because if you didn't have hot takes, then we would all just agree, and there'd be no podcast. So it does work out, you know. Yeah.
So
thank you guys for having me on. Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to say thanks for having me on, and I will stop interrupting. Back to
you. We interrupt each other all the time, so it's cool here.
Part of good podcasting, it brings back the Spill vibe, you know, from the old. I don't know if you guys are fans of Spill.com days, but those guys will cut each other off and interrupt each other all the time. So,
so we'll start off with John. John, for any first-time viewers or listeners to the podcast, what is it exactly? What do you do, and where can they find you? And what new person, if they're looking at your channel, what would you recommend them first? Be like, hey, this is my style of content.
My style of content is very much in depth with horror movies. I do cover the upcoming movies. I do get early screeners. I go to them if I'm interested in them. There's a lot that I just do you want to come see Downton Abbey? And I'm like, no. But no, mystery thrillers are the ones that really gravitate to me. Horror movies. I do a lot of Ending Explained analysis videos. I do movie reviews. We're doing a new segment right now, which is why we're taking a short hiatus. We're going to be back in September. But it's great. You know, we're going to be doing more videos along August as well, obviously. But yeah, I've been doing the channel since 2014, and it's everything movies you can want to talk about. So Burns Reviews is where you can find us. Every type of social media thing, just type in Burns Reviews, you'll find it.
I will say I do like your horror analysis. You're not gonna lie, you
Thank you.
You inspired me last year because I did my first ever Halloween like reviews and everything. I reviewed like 31 Halloween movies last year, and it was a lot of fun. I was just like, I'm doing it again this year, but it's just so cool to just talk about just horror movies and everything. It's just like,
oh, right on. Yeah, I see a lot of those like 31 on 31, which is pretty cool.
It's pretty fun and everything. So Dom, same question to you. Where can the people find you? What is your style of video, and what's the videos that you would recommend people, first-time viewers to your channel?
Certainly, yeah. So about 3 years ago, when I was just out of college, my buddy Chris Ivanko and I started our second podcast. We'd already tried one podcast beforehand when we were in school. That just didn't work out just because of timing-wise and the fact that we were still kind of new and didn't really know what we were doing. But I graduated from college back in 2019. Chris basically came to me and said, hey, what if we try this podcasting again? And I said, sure. And here we are 3 years later. We do live streams once a week on our YouTube channel, which we incorporated into the channel about a year in, once the pandemic hit in 2020. So we do a live stream every week covering, usually it'll be whatever like kind of new topic we do. Usually we try to hit the new movie of the week. Obviously that hasn't been really as much of a thing recently. It's been more so every 2 weeks. So we usually supplement that with, usually we've been covering a lot of TV recently. Mostly I like to call us, the anti-Disney channel, because we're the only channel that calls it how it is with a lot of Disney stuff, considering that, like, I feel like for the most part, everybody, even though, like, people are starting to come around now after Thor: Love and Thunder, we still we call it how, our whole thing, our whole mantra is we call it how it is. We review things as kind of, what's it called? We review things as, how we see them. People say that I have hot takes. My whole thing is I'm like, I just try to be as honest and as objective, as objective in air quotes as you can be towards movies. I already said, I'm like, I love movies. I'm pretty much was raised on them. So I'm like, look, my whole thing is I'm like, I'm always going to be talking about movies. It just so happens that in this sense, I have a microphone and a camera in front of me and I can broadcast it to a wide appeal, to a wide audience rather on YouTube. I've had pretty much everyone here on this panel on the podcast right now. So if you want to follow us, go follow us at Talking TV Podcast across all platforms. Obviously, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, the list, it's all there. You guys all know the main social media platforms. And as far as what video that I would recommend, I mean, the list is kind of endless there, but I will say just recently, so we did the Stranger Things season 4 live stream. We did that a couple weeks late, but it's like, look, the most recent season of Stranger Things was 19 and a half hours long. So by the time we actually reviewed it, it's like, look, hopefully by then everybody will have caught up to it. I can understand if you haven't, considering that the finale was longer than the last Thor. And my buddy Brandon, who I had on that podcast, made a great joke about how he basically said, okay, well, if season 4 is the Infinity War of Stranger Things, then season 5 going into it, he's like, okay, so my prediction for season 5 is going to be that they're going to be hunting down Vecna, and they're eventually going to find him. And then when they find him, he's going to be like, look, the work is done. I am inevitable. And then they're going to cut off Vecna's head. And then it's going to cut to 5 years later. And then they realize that they're going to be able to travel back in time. And he just goes start doing Endgame. But as season 5 of Stranger Things, I was dying laughing. It's just quality podcasting right there. And I would definitely go recommend the Stranger Things season 4 live stream that we just did where we talked about it. It was a lot of fun with Joe.
If that was actually true for the next season.
About that? You know what's crazy about that? The Duffer Brothers have explicitly said that there's going to be a time gap of sorts going into season 5. So not too far out of the realm of possibility is all that I'll say.
I thought I read something somewhere that, like, you can call me out if this is not true or not. There was something about that, like, they're going to be set in their 20s next season.
Oh, wouldn't surprise me. They're right. I mean,
because all of them are like mature now.
In their 20s, yeah.
Like they're all like not little witty babies anymore. They're not all their preteens. Yep. They're grown up. They're like ready to go to the club now at this point.
Oh, what are you talking about? They've been going to the club.
But that's a big cliffhanger to jump ahead like 20 years though.
Well, they're not going to jump ahead 20 years. It's probably going to be like
no, like 5 years. But
yeah,
but that ending, you can't be like, and then 5 years later.
And also, they're probably going to be like, okay, we'll do like a flash forward to the future, and maybe them as like adults, like after they've sealed the Upside Down for good and killed Vecna, and whoever of the cast that's going to drop because we're going to lose some people in season 5. So,
what is your favorite season? I had to ask for the both of you. Of Stranger Things. I haven't watched the newest season because I feel like Stranger Things should have been one season, a mini series. That's it. And I haven't gravitated towards anything else since.
A lot of people have said that. I don't necessarily agree with it because I think that the Duffers, while their following seasons were flawed. I think there was still a lot of stuff there. For me, the only season of Stranger Things that really hasn't worked out is season 3, mostly just because I thought that they were going a little bit too fun and cutesy for that one, and I feel like it didn't really have a lot of the doom and gloom that I liked kind of so much about the first 2, and later on this 4th season. Like this 4th season, it really brought back the darkness of space, but I mean, yeah, the first one is still the best, obviously. Like that is just, it's a perfect season of television. It has everything that you could possibly want from it, and the thing that's so cool about that first season is that you kind of have this really good mix of blend. Like you have like kind of the little kid Stand By Me / Goonies element with the kids, but then you've also got like this kind of awkward coming of age thing with the Nancy, Jonathan, Steve arc. And then you've also kind of like got the adults in there that are also kind of like, they're like, it's a good balancing out act, you know, when it was kind of before the formula was really established. It still feels so fresh and original and so new and different, you know, when it was in 2016, when TV was really starting to become a thing. You know, so for it, obviously it'll always be the first season.
What about you, John? Do you have a favorite season, or you just stay away from Stranger
Well,
Things?
I know season 2 I don't like because it felt too copy paste of season 1. Season 1's the best. Season 4 is second.
That's where I disagree.
And then 3.
It's not copy and paste. It's not.
I don't like it. I just when I want to revisit it, I'm not going back to 2. 1 is great. 4 was great. 3 I thought was. I like 3. I know you don't like 3, but 3 was actually pretty damn good. You got Billy. Billy is like the good guy
Billy
a little
sucks.
bit.
Billy sucks.
Billy's amazing.
His redemption arc is totally unearned. It's totally unearned. It just comes out of
Billy
nowhere. He's been
is a vibe, and I'm for it.
He's been 2 seasons being an asshole. Just
I
out
don't
of nowhere,
care.
almost kills Lucas. And then he has 11 has one flashback of his tragic past, and then he sacrificed himself. And we're supposed to feel sorry for him? No, I'm sorry. You don't get a pass that way, Billy. You don't.
At least he's distinctive.
Okay, I had no idea what any of that was about because I didn't watch season 3 yet. That's how behind I am.
Hey, all
you need to know is that Billy is great.
Everybody that
Mac
says season
is
2
out
is a
here
copy
in
and
the corner,
paste.
just like
you don't
what is
understand.
going on?
You don't
I've never
understand.
watched Stranger Things at all. So
You didn't even watch season 1?
Nope.
Oh, you mean you don't want to sit through the 19 and a half hours of season 4?
Yeah, but
I'm gonna keep saying that because it never stops being funny.
I'll stick to F is for Family and that show. But anyway,
And don't you mean 13 Reasons Why?
Oh God.
Get the hell out.
Don't even oh God.
Jon and Dom's links will be in the description below. I just realized we're still in the opening. We bounced from Stranger Things to Marvel.
No, we started
to
off
The
from Shrek,
Office.
and then we went to Stranger, and we went around to Stranger Things.
So,
Now we're talking about you and Peg Bagley. I love it though.
I have no idea who Peg Bagley is, but anyway, let's get
Excuse me,
on.
you don't know Gossip Girl, Mac? Excuse me, you don't know Gossip
Anyway, let's get into the news, starting off with some San Diego Comic-Con announcements.
This is CNN.
Okay, so starting off with the news, we're going to Comic-Con at the time of this recording was this past weekend, the second and last week in July, and a lot of stuff came out, a lot of Marvel stuff. And Kristen thought it would be a good idea for all of us to talk about one announcement, trailer, or anything that we're excited for. And I think it's best if we start off with a guest. So, Jon, you're on the hot seat. What was the one announcement, trailer, anything that caught your eye at Comic-Con this past weekend?
Well, I'll be honest. I didn't like watch panels or anything like that. I did watch a playlist of all the trailers, and I saw Black Adam and I saw Shazam. But the one that really caught me, well, I watched them all, but the one that really excited me was John Wick 4.
Yeah,
because everything, right? Because like the superhero movies, it's just I'm kind of a little burnt out on them. I want to break from them a little bit. But John Wick, I don't know what it is. It's just I want more and more, and I love that universe. I want to go back to it. He doesn't quip. He doesn't make jokes like The Rock or Shazam, and I'm gonna watch those too. I have no interest in Dungeons and Dragons. I have no interest in other stuff I saw that I can't remember, but John Wick was definitely the one that got me excited the most. It just looked, and we don't even get a lot. We get Morpheus walking and being like, "John Wick, are you ready?" And I'm like,
You wanted me back. I'm back.
How exciting.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's coming.
Somebody, please get this man a gun. John Wick. Chapter 2 starts February 10th.
Are we even still bothering to call him by his name in the universe? Does anybody even remember his name in the John Wick universe? Can we just go back to calling him Morpheus? That's basically what he is, you know?
He's like the Birdman.
Yeah.
He's like the Pigeon Man. I don't know.
His character's name is the Bowery King. I will probably be the only person that actually knows that. That's
Yes.
fine. I'll hold that title.
I forgot.
Because guess what? Everybody already forgot about it, so it doesn't even matter.
It's Morpheus, damn it.
Morpheus, Dorpheus, Morpheus, go eat some orifices, porridges. Morpheus, go get to the buffet and orifices. Corpses, Worcestershire sauce. Go into your orifices. Red pill, blue pill, Morpheus, orifices. Seashells by the seashore, Orpheus.
Exactly.
But yes, I'm excited.
I'm excited because of that John Wick movie. Bill Skarsgård looks like he's gonna kick some butt in that movie.
Bill Skarsgård. Bill
that's
Skarsgård.
right.
What about him fighting Donnie Yen? What about them deflecting bullets like with samurai swords, like not even like 2 inches from each other? Like how was it even possible?
The crazy part is in that trailer, we didn't even see the main person that everyone's excited for, Scott Atkins, like the action hero.
Right.
Like, this man
Scott
can
Atkins!
Yeah. We got Bill Skarsgård, we got Clancy Brown, we got Hiroyuki Sanada, we got Donnie Yen. But you're right, we didn't get Scott Adkins. And there was somebody else too that's going to be in this movie too that I'm forgetting.
So this is like every action movie, like fanatic like us, like we're excited for. Because as soon as Scott Atkins, they're like, "Yo, Scott Atkins is going to be in this." And I was like, "Yes, I want some more."
It's gonna be great, and I love the
is.
fact it's in 2 parts. I think something that's so not Marvel and that can get a lot of fans excited about. This is something I can like get on hyped for. I love everything for it. I mean, you can't not love Keanu Reeves. I mean, he's just everything.
That's Johnny Silverhand.
Exactly.
Yeah, the lack of Marvel counter programming has been particular of late, especially coming out of the pandemic. And I mean, they're still struggling to find. I mean, I think there are still some good stuff like that's coming out. Like Bullet Train is coming out. That looks like fun. Bodies. Obviously, that's going to be a good horror alternative. You know, because that's got the Pete Davidson factor. But yeah, I think the biggest thing that's the most apparent as far as I feel like why kind of Marvel's particularly starting to feel like even more nauseating than it was before is, in addition to just the fact that we're just getting so much more Marvel now than we ever were getting before, just the amount of movies that provide good counter programming for Marvel has just not been there. And we're still getting back to the place where there is going to be it. But the fact that we're finally getting another John Wick movie for the first time, and God, by the time that movie comes out next year, it'll have been, what, 4 years since the last one? Like,
about that.
Oh my gosh,
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so real quick, like, do you guys remember when they were originally going to put out, it was so weird that they were going to do this. Like, Tom Cruise was going to do Top Gun and Mission Impossible 7 in the same year, and then they decided, okay, that's a bad idea. And then they were originally going to do Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 in the same year, and then they put that apart. And thank God, because Matrix 4, yikes. Like,
yeah, no.
At least John Wick would have saved everything, because then we would have forgotten about the Matrix.
I would have wanted John Wick to just come in and just kill himself from the Matrix and be like, I am putting you out of your misery, you know? Like,
and Bill and Ted's face music was like very average to me. Like it wasn't bad. It was just like
I thought
mid.
I enjoyed
It was
that.
just in the I did too, but it was okay. I'm excited though for John Wick because it's definitely his best character right now.
John Wick is still modern. It's not a remake of an older it's not a soft reboot of a older franchise, and it's the fact that it's still enough modern. And it's so strange because John Wick essentially does the same thing that Marvel does, but just giving us the same thing over and over again. But like the action is so amazingly well filmed that like they just are able to keep making the world bigger and bigger and more expansive and more fun, and they just like they know what they're doing. So it's like, yeah, I don't have any problems with it. I like how kind of like David Leitch, who was like one half of the duo that did the first one, has kind of gone off and spawned into his own like micro action verse, and like because David Leitch obviously is doing Bullet Train, so I think that's pretty cool too.
Don't forget too that they possibly said that Nobody, Atomic Blonde, and John Wick could all have a future crossover,
which would be, oh man, like.
That'd be nice.
Make that movie now, like, because nobody. That's another one. I'm like, I need a sequel to that one. I mean,
they said they might do a sequel to that. They said they're talking about it.
Yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, I mean, as far as my favorite announcement from Comic-Con, not really. I mean, obviously all the Marvel stuff, like just the fact of it's like, okay, we finally have some sort of a direction as to where we're going for like phase 5 and 6. I know that was a big criticism of everybody for the last 2 years. It's like, oh, where is Marvel going? Where is Marvel going? And it's like, I mean, it's pretty obvious they were building up to Secret Wars, but like now we have official confirmation of it. So there's that. But I mean, the two biggest things. One, shout out to my boy Jason Concepcion, formerly of The Ringer. I forgot what podcast network he's working for now, who hosted moderated the House of the Dragon panel. He co-hosted the Talking Thrones after show with Mal Rubin for years, and I thought that was just really cool seeing him up there. He's also actually, fun fact, shooting him and Shea Serrano are shooting a show by me in Syracuse. But I mean, the biggest just source of hilarity for me is that after all this time, it's been how many years since 2016 when this whole stupid feud erupted, and Marvel is still wiping the floor with DC, where Marvel announces how many projects they announced between Friday and Saturday, between their animation panel alone. It's like, oh my God, like how much stuff are they doing before their live action panel? And DC puts out a whopping 2 trailers, because they can't put out Aquaman, because who knows if Jason Momoa is recovering from COVID, and they still haven't finished editing Amber Heard out of the movie, and they can't put out The Flash, because, you know, that whole Ezra Miller of it all, and that's just become another friggin' PR nightmare for them. Like, Jesus. It's official. DC, they're never gonna catch a break. They're never gonna catch a break. They had like a brief minute between the Suicide Squad last year and the Batman earlier this year, but it's like, man, they're as long as they continue, the curse of the Snyderverse just continues to hang over them. They just cannot escape from it.
I literally said that last episode when we had James Shaw on. I said, man, the one year DC actually could make good ground, they're getting like shafted on by just stuff that's out of their control. Well, actually not out of control. They could have had the opportunity to snip it out before it got big, but they have just chose to like, nah, everything's fine.
They deliberately ignored the Amber Heard stuff because they just assumed that it was like, hey, you know, she's naturally right about everything going on with Johnny Depp. And then that was not the case at all. They just deliberately ignored the fact that Ezra had already had like a series of complaints leading up to this. It was like, yeah.
And it's still ongoing, I'm sure, with the complaints. Something new happens with him every day.
It's gotten so much worse. I still don't know if they found him after the whole, after he disappeared. Yeah, they still haven't found him. He like kidnapped a 12-year-old. Like, it's not good.
Here's the thing. I think what Warner Brothers should do is now at this point, just put a tracking device on Ezra, so that way he's like a dog. If he gets lost, they know where to find him, and just be like, "Come back to set. You're gonna get in trouble."
How about this?
Can that tracking device also tase him?
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Fire him and get him arrested and put in jail.
The crazy thing, we mentioned this before a few episodes back, is that like it's been, like you said, Dom, a history of this, because like the first recorded incident,
not like this is out of nowhere.
Like the first recorded incidents was back during like last year when he assaulted a woman, or they assaulted a woman in like Prague.
I think it was before last. I think it was before.
Yeah,
this
was
2020, 2019.
Right.
2019, because it's like the video surface was like a 2011 video.
I'm pretty sure. Like, like I said, it's not recent. He's had a long history of problems. Like, I understand obviously the whole mental health aspect of it all. He is confirmed as being bipolar, but like he's also off his meds. He's acting very erratic, and it's like, again, it's like there's a lot, you know, and he is way crossed over it.
It's not good, so they need to do something before that movie gets released.
At this point, as far as the DC, like, all I want to see is Michael Keaton as Batman. I don't care about anything else.
To be honest, yeah.
I have no hope on Henry Cavill coming back. It'd be nice if he did, but I'm not gonna like assume that's gonna happen. But as far you can just chop out the Ezra Miller. Just make it a Batman movie. I'd watch it.
Remember when we all thought that they were gonna announce Henry Cavill at the DC panel? But
what a tease that was.
That was a major tease.
I knew for a fact that wasn't happening. The DC's like, we're gonna give you something. What? Screw y'all.
Do you know what's one thing though? I think if this was Disney's situation, they would have fired Ezra like a while ago.
I mean, look at the James Gunn situation. Look at the James Gunn situation. Like, Disney doesn't mess around with that.
Yeah, Warner Brothers.
Yeah, but that was fake. Mm-hmm. That was we're gonna fire you temporarily and then we'll bring you back.
Well,
that was a tweet too. That wasn't that bad.
They brought him back, but it was the tweet situation. But then they brought him back because DC got him, and they're like, "Crap, we screwed up. We
messed up."
And the fact that
they went, there goes DC all our
money. DC was like, wait, they're gonna let go one of the most prized assets. Here you go, James. You can do whatever you want. No PG-13 rating. You know, you want to resurrect the franchise that we already tried to like basically like vehemently base off your way better franchise. And hey, it was my favorite movie of last year. But
you know what would have been funny if like James Gunn stayed fine from Marvel. They're like, you know what? We're gonna get our own James Gunn. They just hired David Ayer to do Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You know how terrible that would have been? Like, if that would have been Suicide Squad, like Raccoon's like, what are we, some kind of Guardians of the Galaxy? He just goes up on the stage, he's like, FDC, I'm Marvel now. This sucks. They're like, oh, you suck at both studios, dude.
No, and then what they would have done is they would have hired Josh Trank.
No, leave him
bringing
alone.
We're bringing
It's
him
not-
back.
It's not all of his fault.
Can't we just let sleeping dogs lie, guys? Like, come on. He already ended his own thing there. So.
Well, he did Capone, which is a movie.
Oh well, how bad you call that a movie? I think is being generous.
Yeah. Kristen, what's your favorite announcement from 10 Comic-Con?
Okay, well, I'm all over the place with my news because one thing I was happy about that was we just talked about, which was the John Wick. I love the image that they showed. The trailer was great. I am excited about the Guardians finale. I was very happy to see some of the people come out. People at the con got to see the trailer. It would have been nice if we got to see a teaser just for the people.
Yeah, they leaked the Ant-Man trailer, but they couldn't
who don't go to Comic-Con.
Guardians of the Galaxy trailer.
It would have been nice. We got that nice little Ant-Man poster, which I'm very happy about. Those are the only two major projects I'm excited about Marvel. At least I think, because we talked about it last week with, James, discussing that with Thor. However, my fangirl and my 14-year-old self is very excited about the Teen Wolf movie. You can walk out, Mac, but I am excited for the Teen Wolf movie. I am ready. I'm going to binge watch the entire season again, all the way up to season 6, because I know there was a lot of people campaigning for a season 7. We got a movie. It's going to come out October 15th. I'm ready. The only thing is Dylan O'Brien is not there. I guess I am mad, but I'm going to be here. I'm going to watch it for Tyler Posey and everybody that's in it. Crystal Reed is back. She's back from the dead. And if my fans know from Teen Wolf, they would know what that means. She died in season 3. Happy to she's back. Most of the main characters are back except for Styles.
Speaking of wolves, I mean, I also forgot one other thing from the Marvel thing. Can we talk about the Maria Bakalova from Borat 2? They hyped her up that she was going to be in it, and she's voicing and doing the motion capture for
the Cosmos,
the space dog. Like, come on.
I thought that was a unique casting choice.
That was funny.
If that's not more quality James Gunn trolling, then I don't know what is.
Perfect. Beautiful.
I was very excited, to know where she was going to fit in that movie. I was like, okay, she's this really funny woman at the moment. She's kind of like the Kristen Wiig, at the moment with her comedy. I feel how she was, but now she's playing.
I'm just waiting to see who Danielle Melchior is going to be playing now, because they confirmed Chuck Woody is the High Evolutionary, which I mean that was already pretty obvious. What's it called? They said that Will Poulter is Adam Warlock.
Warlock, yeah.
We've known that for a while. I think that's going to be cool. And mostly my whole thing is I'm like, yeah, how many, if not all, the Guardians are going to die in this one? It's
my
pretty
heart's
obvious.
Just gonna
it's
break.
like that they're more than likely, my money's on the fact that it's all of them die except for Rocket, Groot, and I'll say Mantis. They'll keep alive. But yeah. I think everybody else is dying.
Oh.
It would have been a funny
episode.
We know Drax is going for sure. We know Drax
is dead for sure.
It's gonna be Drax.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Drax.
We know that.
Well, it would have been a funnier casting. He casts Ana de Armas as a dog, and everyone lost their shit. Twitter would burn down you're casting my Anna as a dog. I hate you, James Gunn.
Anna hasn't been cast in an MCU project yet. I mean,
she'll get casted soon.
Yeah,
she'll be Gamora when Zoe's on Anna's done.
Yeah. Well, real quick. What are the odds that Ryan Gosling gets announced as Ghost Rider D23?
Oh God.
It can be Drive.
Look, all I'm gonna say is no one's ever replacing Nicolas Cage. In my heart of hearts, he is the one and only Ghost Rider.
I would love to
catch it at the door.
Thing. If we can open the realm for all these other Peters, they can open a realm for Nicolas Cage to come through.
Nicolas Cage is the one. They open the portal, they see him coming through, they're like, no.
Remember the script?
Yeah, but they couldn't even bring him back for National Treasure. So
yeah,
I'm not banking on that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Remember the script?
We all did.
Remember the script leak for Multiverse of Madness? Where
there was a bunch of cameos that got cut from that.
It was
there were a ton, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Deadpool, Tom Cruise is Iron Man. There's a bunch of Wesley Snipes' Blade, Ben Affleck's Daredevil. There's a bunch of things that were supposed to be in it at that point. Yeah.
My friend at work, he was like, "Oh, they said Johnny Blaze." I'm like, "That's Nicolas Cage." He's like, "Oh, he's gonna be." I was so excited. I'm like, "Where's Nicolas Cage at?" This sucks. This movie sucks.
Yeah, there was a lot that was cut from that movie. I think there was also obviously I think Chadwick was supposed to appear in the movie as well. Obviously, prior to his death. So there was a lot of stuff that was cut from that movie.
Yeah. But I think my favorite announcement. Shout out to the Wakanda Forever trailer. I'm assuming I'm not the one that probably cried a little bit.
That shit looked really good, like really, really good.
Will this be the movie that finally baked them out of Phase 4? Because it's the ending of Phase 4. Do you think Wakanda Forever will build up some goodwill, or will it be more divisive?
Well, I mean, I know we're getting. Well, the big thing obviously is it's two major things that are being revealed in this movie. Obviously, Shuri clearly taking over as Black Panther. I mean, it was pretty obvious that was her at the end. So 3 things technically. 2, obviously, we get Namor, who's a pretty big addition, obviously, to the entirety of the MCU. I hope that they don't waste him as a one-off villain. I hope. Because Namor obviously is a pretty big part. And also, I mean, it was leaked behind the scenes that it's pretty obvious. This is a movie we're getting Doctor Doom in this. So, I mean, obviously they're not going to show him in the trailer, and I don't think he's going to be in the movie in any extent. It'll be a post-credit scene, but I mean, there's going to be a lot of big stuff that happens in this movie. So, so it does make sense for this to be the big cap-off for Phase 4 in order to lead us into before we get into Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which will actually introduce Kang the Conqueror in his full villain capacity.
And MODOK. Don't forget about MODOK.
And MODOK too.
Did you guys watch? Speaking of which, MODOK, did you guys watch that show that was on Hulu? That was
no, but it looked funny though. It looked funny.
It got canceled.
Yeah. But
no, I just wanted to see what that was.
My favorite announcement. This is probably gonna shock you guys. It's a tie between Lord of the Rings show on Amazon Prime and Dungeons and Dragons because they both look fucking terrible.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons looks good.
They both look terrible.
What?
They both look.
I mean, Lord of the Rings.
They look awful.
Dungeons and Dragons.
I didn't watch Lord of the Rings one, but I did
Lord of
see
the Rings is gonna be garbage. You guys are
so
sleeping on Dungeons
bad.
and Dragons. Look, Game Night was a comedic masterpiece. I trust Francis and Daly. Those guys have not missed yet.
Dungeons and Dragons is only being made because of Stranger Things, and it's gonna be awful. It's gonna be like Warcraft or whatever.
I think it's gonna be awesome. I'll be the sole person defending that movie. But yeah, I think that's
Dungeons and Dragons. Like when I watched the show, I'm like, is this real or not? It's sort of like a College Humor parody trailer.
It looks like a parody of like a bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's
fine. The tone they're going for it, and then it's just going to be really stupidly fun.
It's going to be like Aragon. It's going to be crap.
Oh, come on.
It's going to be like Aragon or Stardust, like all those crappy movies.
That's funny that you mentioned that. I just saw a post on Facebook saying that an Aragon series is being considered for Disney Plus now.
Of course it is.
What if it's like the water horse? Does anybody remember the water horse?
Oh yeah, I remember the water horse. I remember that.
Never heard of it.
I kind of do.
It was like a Nickelodeon movie, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Bernsey, this is what happens when you grow up in the 2000s. This is the sort of stuff that you are pretty.
I wasn't around in the 2000s. I just willfully ignored some certain things I didn't like.
How old were you?
Obviously ignored the water horse.
Irrelevant.
But I think besides the Lord of the Rings and Dungeons and Dragons, the one thing that I was like, yo, I'm definitely gonna check that out. That's got to be freaking the line. I think it's my curiosity of Secret Wars because I don't know anything about Secret Wars. All I know is does that introduce Battle World where Dr. Doom's like the head of everything?
It depends on the iteration that they're going to do. So obviously Battle World is in both iterations, but the biggest thing is that source of confusion is whether they're going to adapt the original iteration of Secret Wars, which is where you have the Beyonder collecting all these heroes and villains and plopping them on this world to fight for his own amusement, or whether they're going to do the 2015 rendition of Secret Wars, which starts with Earth 616 and 1610 smashing together in an incursion level event that would have been set up by Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and then obviously Doctor Doom assuming control over Battle World, and all the heroes have to fight to stop him. That's the comic book line that my money's on as far as them adapting.
Yeah, it sounds like what it is because given the events that happened in multiverse, it makes sense.
Well, it's just everything that they've been setting up between multiverse and Loki and No Way Home, and now with Doctor Doom coming in Black Panther. So
think about it too. What's the one character that you can bring in during Secret Wars? Miles Morales. I think it's about time he gets into the MCU.
Well, they've also confirmed that Miles Morales is going to come at a certain point in live action form. So I mean, it still won't be as good as Into the Spider-Verse, but
oh god, no. But at least it would be cool. Like when they made him the mainline Spider-Man in 2015, we all knew they're building him up to be the MCU. It's just gonna take a while, but now he's like really popular. I know people that like Miles Morales more than like Peter Parker, and like if we got Miles Morales in the No Way Home movie as a post-credit scene, you know how wild that would have been.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Would have been nuts.
He's definitely coming because they've been testing the waters for like the video game Miles Morales and of course the animated one. So he's definitely coming. He's great. So
and hey, Caleb McLaughlin's just going to be about that age. He's what, like 18, 19? He's perfect for it. Boom, they can put him right in, you know?
They could. He's got two gigs then. He can do the animated movies and then the live action. Perfect.
Exactly.
It ain't about the money, Spider-Man. It's about the swagger.
But any news to us, you send them on our Instagram channels. Link in the description below, or comment down below because I'm already ready.
Comment your favorite Comic-Con release or news.
So without further ado, let's get into the topic. Let's talk about some Jordan Peele, shall we?
Too many white people are getting nervous.
No.
All right, so the topic today, with the new release of Nope, we will be talking about Nope and also Get Out and Us, and talking a little bit about Jordan Peele. So for any of you who've been living on the rock for the past 5 years now, Jordan Peele, one half of Key and Peele, broke off after the show ended, broke off and did some directing. And back in 2016-17, it was announced that he's doing his first ever directorial debut, a horror movie called Get Out. Everyone immediately thought, the guy from Key and Peele doing a horror movie? Get out of town. And Get Out came out and everyone's like, oh my God, this is actually wonderful. And then he followed it up with Get Out 2 years later. And now 3 years later, and this year, he's done Nope. So we're going to talk about each one of them separately and our thoughts on Peele and everything. So it's better to start off with Get Out and ask everyone here a question. Was Get Out what you were expecting coming from someone like Jordan Peele? Because you know what they say, comedic minds usually have the darkest thoughts.
That's a good thought. Okay, anyways, let's move on to our guest, shall we? John, you kicked it off last time. Dom, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah. So, I mean, Get Out was, oh man, I still remember seeing that movie like it was yesterday. I mean, I will still, to this day, I will still constantly have to figure out like what the top 5 greatest theater going experiences of my life are. But Get Out has got to be up there because I remember from the minute that the first trailer came out and it said from the twisted mind of Jordan Peele. And I'm like, wait, Jordan Peele's making a horror movie? Like, why he's getting into directing? And like, I'm not gonna say like I had low expectations of that because I had yet to watch Split, and 2017 I will say is the year that really turned my mind around on horror because I didn't have like a low bar. I was still getting into movies roughly then. I didn't really know what to expect. I was still like kind of experimenting around with genres, figuring out what I liked, figuring out what I didn't like. And I watched Don't Breathe in the fall of 2016. I really, really enjoyed that movie. And that movie definitely like as my first really big horror movie that I watched in a theater that kind of like changed a lot of like my experiences with that. And so with the genre, I should say. And then I watched Split a couple months later as the first Shyamalan movie I saw in theaters back when, you know, we thought Shyamalan was going to be making a comeback. And I thought that movie just blew me away for so many different levels. And then I watched Jordan Peele. I watched Get Out for the first time. And like, I'm like, okay, so the trailer is basically saying, I'm like, okay, so I'm like, so he's a black guy, he's dating a white girl, he's gonna go date her family. I'm like, they're playing into a little bit of like the what's it called, you know, the fable for lack of a better word. It's like, you know, kind of there's that kind of old school method of it's like, you know, it's like, oh, don't go too far outside or else, you know, you're gonna be whitewashed. You know, that sense of like kind of losing your identity sense. And I mean, talk about taking that idea and just running with it, because to say that Get Out is a horror masterpiece, I still don't think gives it enough credit, because that movie is just so unbelievably deep on so many different levels. It's one of the first movies I remember watching where I'm like, this is going to be better on the rewatch, and then it was, because like all the ways that he subtly sets up for that crazy twist and for the crazy finale, it's the perfect blend of drama and comedy, because you're both super tense and super scared and nervous and worried about Chris one minute, and then you're laughing your ass off at Lil Howery is very rightfully so, like having all these like very genuine reactions, and like he completely he's every horror movie fan that like guesses the plot of the movie, but like in the plot, but like inside the movie, and the rest of the cast is like not, you know, obviously doesn't believe him and such. And it kind of really established Peele as kind of as like kind of exposing us to this other side of him that we weren't really aware of, where we're like, oh, we always had this idea of Peele of being like the straight man of Key and Peele, and now and that movie kind of opened our eyes and made us aware. It's like, no, this guy is somebody who has got some very interesting, some very introspective, some very expansive, some very different ideas, and it definitely kind of showed him as being like one of the next like kind of must-see like filmmakers to keep track of over the next couple of years. It's kind of insane still, like how they were able to put how that happened. It's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, the bar was so low. Not no disrespect against like, you know, Jordan Peele, but like going into it, you're thinking the guy from Key and Peele, so how great can it be? No one had that high expectation for it, and it was original. I think so many times you watch like a movie trailer, much like Dom was saying, it's like, you know, you don't really know exactly where it's going. He does good trailers with Get Out, at least, because you think, like you said, it's just going to be like a black guy with his white girlfriend meeting a white family. You know, I would have voted for Obama a third time if I could. Like all that awkwardness,
still
right?
Great. Still great.
Like
still
like
great.
Meeting the parents is like awkward enough, but like you have like that diversity issue where like, is it going to be a problem? Are they going to be evil? You don't know. And then like, much like us, much like Get Out, the third act is like, what the fuck? Like it just takes a turn. And now I'm on to Jordan Peele a little bit, although Nope doesn't really do that, but that's neither here nor there. The scene that really creeps me out, it's to this day in Get Out, is a scene where he's outside and the landscaper is like running.
That's up there.
And then it just goes left, and I'm like, what was that?
Fast as fuck, boy.
And like
quite
that's
literally a hard left
me.
turn. Not for me. Nothing will ever top the scene. Well, two scenes with Allison Williams, who I think like still doesn't get enough credit for that movie as far as just how terrifying she is in that movie. One is the scene where she's talking to Lil Howery on the phone, and she just has that straight stone face the entire time. And then when she's sitting on the bed, separating the Cheerios from the milk,
was like Fruit Loops, right?
As she's like searching like the next black guy that she's gonna scope out, like it's. I'm like, it still makes me tense up to this day. I'm like, God.
And just the collection of Lone when he finds all the shrines.
Yeah, but that was like confirmation. That was like confirmation at this point, you know?
So, oh my gosh.
I think one aspect of Jordan Peele that I think we would talk about with all his movies anyway is that with his trailers, he'll post one trailer and you're just like, you think you know what it is, but like John said with the part with the landscaper doing hauling ass towards the screen and on the hard left, that's all his movies. It's like, wait, what? Like, hold up, we thought it was gonna go because we can spoil Us and Get Out because they're a couple years old and everything I say. But so basically us Get Out. We follow this guy named Chris, played by Daniel Kaluuya, which I say is a phenomenal actor. So glad that he got his Oscar for Judas and the Black Messiah. He's dating this girl named Rose, and he has to go meet her family, and you know her family doesn't know that he's black. So then he's chilling out and everything, and starts like, hey, there's some black people that got missing on this area, and then slowly starts to find out that the family they are kidnapping these black people and pretty much lobotomizing them into like taking away their consciousness and putting them in the sunken place. It's been a minute since I watched it, but that's like the rough outline. So now he's trying to escape or get out.
The brother is tense in that movie too. I keep forgetting about him, but when he's talking about like lacrosse and how he's like a lacrosse player and they're at the table and they're like, "Will you simmer it down?" He's like, "How about we wrestle right now?" It's like, calm down, sir.
The thing that blows me away about that movie is just they take the idea of like kind of like losing your identity and kind of being acclimated into this new environment that's just so inherently alien, right? That kind of like creepy white suburban area. And they literally use that, like he uses that against you, where it's like, yeah, it's this group of like rich white suburbanite elites who are effectively looking to prolong their lives with this revolutionary medical procedure by implanting their consciousness into younger, more fertile, more what's it called, like what's the word I'm looking for? Crap, I just lost it. Like more fertile, for lack of a better word, it's so twisted. I can't even explain it, but it's like
Dom, it's not even like being like younger. It's like Stephen Root. I love Stephen Root. Stephen Root is great.
It's enhancing themselves, exactly, is what it is.
But he says but he says he's like black is the new cool. It's not even about being young.
Right.
It's like black is the new cool,
It's
and that's
about
what we
being
want.
aesthetically relevant. Like it's them trying to hijack the culture for themselves.
Right. It's the one thing they haven't gotten their fingers into yet.
Right.
And that's why they're doing it. And it's
Yeah.
like it's kind of haunting and kind of true in some ways.
Well, like, what scene did you guys see? The scene that I think really were like, huh, this is kind of weird is that my boy Lakeith Stanfield, because earlier you saw him in the movie, he got dragged to a cop car and you just see him pop up like, what the? He just doesn't look. When you watch it first time, you're like,
well, what's crazy is that was not a cop car. That was they confirmed it after the fact. That's the brother. That's Caleb Ledger Jones in a motorcycle mask that drags him into the trunk. You know?
Yeah, but it's like you looking at him, it's like you're not right. You just don't see him, especially when he's like, hey, it's good to see another brother here. He's like gives him a handshake. I'm like, and then of course the most iconic line is from the trailer when he took a picture of him to send to his boy and like snaps him out because you find out that snaps them out of their trance to get them out of the sunken place is the Flash, because he's like, get out. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, oh, yeah, like, oh, like something, because like there's good subtle detail with that is that when you see the Flash, you kind of see like the white in the eye. You just see them get that consciousness back for like a quick second, because it was same way at the end too what he did for the groundskeeper.
Well, the maid too. The maid is creepy when she's like, no. And the one tear is coming down. It's like,
you want to talk about getting robbed for a goddamn Oscar? Not an Oscar nomination, an Oscar. Betty Gabriel in that movie. Good Lord, her and Allison Williams both. I'm just like, fuck, like those performances both aged so well. For me, there was one moment though, which is that I remember when I watched the trailer, which is like looking for the keys and you can't find it. I'm like, I hear the keys jingling. Like you're not fooling.
Yeah,
you're not fooling anyone.
I'm on to you.
Yeah, I don't know where they are.
I'm like,
liar.
And then she pulls them out. I'm like, you're not fooling anyone. We all hear them jingling. Like we know you're in on this.
But I think it was very satisfying at the end when he broke out and everyone was like, yo, he's like, I'm just done. I'm going home.
Well, what's crazy is like, imagine if they used the original ending. I mean, obviously it wouldn't have been satisfying.
That ending would have been.
Talk about that if that had aged better with that original ending. Like,
so for those who don't know, there's two endings to Get Out. Of course, the ending we all got was that his boy came in and saved him, and it was a good happy ending. But the ending that Peele originally wanted to use is that so in the ending, his boy pulls up his cop car. So when it looks like a black guy's on top of a white girl, getting strangled and shot, that doesn't look good at all. So he was lucky his boy came up with the original ending. The cops came and they arrested him, and his friend said, hey, he got arrested. He's like, what'd you do? He's like, I killed them all. And it just ended like that with him getting arrested, which was like, oh my God, like that would have been like probably the darkest in 2017 too. That would be like, holy.
See, that's kind of like the I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it would have been dark, but as someone who was looking for a happy ending with that, I'm happy that he went with that happier direction, because we needed that for our hero, I think.
No, I was just gonna say that's kind of like the counterpoint to the whole, being an auteur versus like the studio note, because that definitely felt like a studio note or a test screen of like, that's a little too bleak. Can we like wheel it back a little bit? But I'm really happy it does exist like on the Blu-ray or wherever it is.
But it's just like, imagine that ending would have been like, oh wow.
Yeah, that's the instance where it's like, okay, maybe studio notes aren't always negative,
Do you guys think that would have tanked the movie? Like it would have just changed the movie completely?
I think so.
It would have changed it completely.
Like the success of it. I mean,
I don't think it would have affected the success of it. I definitely the ending that we got is more satisfying, but I don't. The movie was already just so crazy to begin with. I don't necessarily know if that ending would have changed it per se. Especially, but again, that's one of those like alternative, like who knows what would have happened,
Yeah.
I mean, what we got was way more satisfying.
Oh yeah, so it's just so much more satisfying because at the end of the day, it reestablishes the fantasy of where it's like, okay, we want to see him triumph and overpower all these guys. We want to see him, win and kill them all, and it's so satisfying.
Isn't it fun? It's kind of funny because the mom in this movie was Catherine Keener. I remember her because I'm like, oh, you're the mom for Percy Jackson. That's the one I know who you are. I'm like, no, what did you do? You're supposed to be good. Don't be hypnotizing these people. And like, honestly, that scene when she was hypnotizing him, that's like one of the scariest scenes to me, because it's like something like that. I've never been hypnotized, but it's like something like that. It's just terrifying. You just hear just a ding,
the
ding.
teeth
It's like
around.
She's like sink into the couch. She's like, wait, sink. I'm like, oh my God, what is this? And then like the whole concept of what do you guys think of the whole concept of the sunken place?
Oh, it's awesome.
I have a question about that.
Great.
What's up?
he goes into the sunken place and there's like a skeleton. Is that the deer that died in the beginning or something? What's with the skeleton?
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty
thought it was
sure
the
that's
deer
what
in
it's
the
supposed to
beginning.
be. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they have the antlers hanging over all the posters, so that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's the way I intended it too. So.
But it was
No,
like,
I mean it's creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like pretty much sunken places like where they put all the soul, the consciousness of the victims, and just have them just thinking. Because he's like, you find out with Chris is that his mom died in a car accident, and he was just at home watching TV, and that's why he felt guilty about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I think that it was just
I wonder if there was like another point that was cut from the original script where it's like they were going to go with like what other kind of maybe like that's another thing that they did with all the other guys that they abducted as well as like kind of maybe targeted sources of trauma for them, and that's how they were able to like kind of exploit them and put them in the sunken place as well.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but yeah, Get Out is just an amazing movie. And then he followed it up with Us in 2019, which followed Lupita Nyong'o and her family, and they go on a beach vacation, and it turns out they get attacked by some people that look familiar, doppelgangers of themselves, led by Red, and they try to kill them, and they have to try to survive the night. And that's the best way to describe it, because this was a very I want to say it was still successful, but it was a little bit more divisive between people, because people are like, oh, it's not as good as Get Out. It's not like, you know, that, but it's like, I think it's a film where you have to just separate it as its own, because with Get Out, it's more of a thriller movie. Us is like straight up terror horror.
They won't stop until they kill us. Or we kill them.
Many people tried to find it hard because Get Out was so successful. You know, Peele won his Academy Award for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's hard to top yourself after your first big feature that was so successful. You're like, okay, everybody's excited what I'm going to do next. I have to do it better. And sometimes your better is not always great. And I was so mixed about, sorry, my dog is taking over my computer.
I was going to say, it's like, what do you guys think of like Us? Because obviously Us is like, if you compare it to Get Out, it's like the more horror movie. I will say I was a bit more creeped out about that movie. It kind of made me not want to sleep for a little bit. I was like, is my doppelganger going to come and murder me?
I liked Us a lot. I would put it at the number 2 spot, side by side with Nope. I know a lot of people out of nowhere have just decided that they don't like Us, which is really odd, because I remember when Us came out, everybody seemed to love it. Now everyone's like, well, Nope, you know, Us wasn't very good, but you know, Nope is kind of whatever. I don't know where all this hate for Us is coming from.
I think maybe because it was so different, and people are just kind of like, I'm thinking a lot of Us hate had to be from the ending, I think.
I'll say I don't necessarily agree with that, only because I remember it being not divisive, but I remember critics being more mixed on Us originally, because it was still that combination of, it's like, okay, we still want to give Peele all this credit because of Get Out and everything, but the movie does have some pretty significant like gaps in it. I'll say what I'll say about Us, and I found a little bit of problems lingering going into Nope, although I have a little bit of different problems with that, is that Us is the first instance where he's started to prioritize metaphor over what the actual purpose of the story is.
Yes.
The story itself is good. It's serviceable. It's a very creepy, very effective horror plot, and it's got some great twists. But he sets up this massive, expansive world that he doesn't really get into, and he tries to rest this movie on, I think, a very flimsily set up metaphor at the beginning.
Yeah.
You have the what is it? The hands across America, or
the hands like
whatever it is at the beginning, and then he tries to connect it where it's like, okay, their way of doing it is just by killing their previous members and then connecting hands across the world. It doesn't feel very fleshed out.
No, it doesn't. Because I had more questions about that
Right.
than the actual stuff that was happening. Because you know, he was more world building with that film. You know, he sets it up visually, but it's not always executed.
Right. No. It's another one of those movies where it feels like it's trying to intentionally get you to ask questions rather than create a cinematic experience. And I think that he got away from that with Nope. But with Nope, I have problems with that as well. But I'll wait until we talk about that.
going comparing Get Out and Us is like the big twist. They're both fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
The idea of doing like
twist in Us is pretty great. Like
between doing like underground brain extractions and switcheroos is just as crazy as, oh, guess what? If you take an escalator, you have a doppelganger in the basement. So like the only difference that I can kind of see is like scope, as in that, the bad guys in Get Out is like 20 rich guys. And then the bad guys in, Us is like
you
everybody
really
has a doppelganger.
Who the villains are because because all the scientists you can assume are because they make reference to the fact that they kind of abandoned them and just left them there. And I'm like, well, that's kind of dumb because why would you leave just you cloned every human being on the planet?
Exactly.
Why would you just leave them there?
But I kind of go into a Jordan Peele flick kind of like I'm watching like the Twilight Zone. So I give a lot of leeway on like, is this practical? Is it probable? Not at all, but I didn't see it coming and it's great. I enjoyed it. It's well written. It's well directed. I think Us is kind of Elizabeth Moss is kind of creepy in that movie.
Yeah.
When she's like smearing that lipstick and shit. Yeah. And then like the twins come out and they kill them with the golf club and all that.
That's another one.
I don't know.
Lupita Nyong'o should have won an Oscar for that movie.
That was
the
good.
Best performance I saw of that year, possibly from anyone. That's up there with Brad Pitt. That was up there with Willem Dafoe. That was up there with Adam Sandler. Like that was up there for me. And I'm like, of course they're gonna ignore it.
I will say with Us, like it did leave me a lot. I liked it a lot because it really made me think. Like the because you did mention metaphors, especially like with the rabbits. I kind of was like, I get what you're saying, but it's a little too on the nose. But I think what was the message of Us? Because I always our family's message of Us, we took it. We said, if you let your issues, like your problems, like if you try to bury it and manifest, it'll come back and try to kill you. But then a lot of the theories or like the metaphors I saw about Us, talking about the middle class rising up to upper class.
That's where I was switching it from.
I don't see that. I see that more of just like if you have like any type of like trauma when you're a kid or younger and you push it down, it's gonna try to come back up and like kill you like that. I don't know about the middle class, upper class. I think that was a stretch.
I think I see that in both cases, like the one where you really are dissecting it. Yeah. But then I also see where you're coming in with your perspective, especially about the trauma.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's more common to express in like any type of horror film is trauma and, coming back from that from experience. But I also see where he was going with the middle class. There was another article that talked about it with, slavery. I think there was some really deep stuff where this was going where like I could also see, where you're going with that too. But go ahead if anybody else wants to chime in.
The trauma generational aspect, I think, is really interesting because, again, the more and more that we talk about this, I'm seeing a lot of connective threads between Us and Nope, where then getting into the idea of, again, it's the opening shot is of her kind of the whole kind of, for lack of a better, inciting incident of the film is the fact that she is kind of being neglected by her parents. They're not really paying attention to her, both doppelgangers, and it's what's able to make them trade places, when if anything, it's her, the clone switching places with her is almost like a means of like subletting and like escaping from her trauma. And so her clone, or in this case, the original version whose throat was crushed, is almost like her old trauma coming back with a vengeance, and trying to like take revenge, obviously, for the life that she was robbed of ultimately. But like in the end of the day, like you see the life that they lived, and it's like, you're like, was it worth it? So that's, I think, another interesting thing. And that also goes into, her own relationship with the kids and with Winston Duke, who I think is just, again, one of the most underrated performances of that whole year in general.
It was kind of funny in that one.
It was hilarious in that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a Jordan Peele movie. Even his worst movie is still better than a movie of the week. I know people don't love
It's
Us.
better than a lot of average horror films, like where I could think of, like I would watch over, like something like The Forest. Does anybody remember The Forest?
No.
Once the forest has you, it'll never let you go.
The Forest, rated PG-13.
That movie with the girl goes into
wait. Was that with Natalie Dormer?
Yep, with the Suicide Forest. Like
one.
I could take Nope
Oh!
over any day. Like a stylized, like, horror film over that.
26. That brought me back to 2016. 2016 was the year of like where horror
Like 2015, I think it was.
No, it's 2016.
2016.
Yeah, it was January of 2016.
Yeah, the 2016 horror movies were like, I think that's the year that everything started to change because that's when they started getting like experimental. Because I think The Witch came out that year too, and then like we had the sequel.
And Nocturnal Animals.
Yeah,
yeah.
And we had the sequel to Blair Witch, was actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah, the one was that the one that that wasn't the one that Mike Flanagan directed, was it? No, it wasn't.
It was the
one. Yeah,
it was the one they announced that I think at E3, and everyone was like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Hey, yeah, you want another Blair Witch? No, too bad, we're getting another one." But
Adam
something like
Wingard,
the
the guy who did Godzilla vs.
Adam
Kong.
Wingard, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
real quick. I think this is got to be one of the funny things. My housemate just shared a meme where it says breaking: Robert Downey Jr. returning to the MCU as the Black Panther, and it shows Black Panther but with Robert Downey Jr. from dropping the
Yes. Please, let's make that happen.
It's amazing.
But
that's incredible.
One more thing with us. You mentioned the ending. Did you guys think the ending was a little bit of a cop-out? Because the ending of this film, it does reveal that, Lupita's character that we follow, that was the doppelganger who switched places with the original, who was Red. A lot of people, and then the son found out, oh, you're the doppelganger, but I'm just
You're not my mom.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put my real mom.
I'm gonna put my mask on and just not say anything because people noticed it in the trailer when they were doing the "I got 5 on it." She was out of beat, like with the song, and I was like, "Why aren't you in beat and everything?" But like, so do you think the ending was a bit of a cop out, or was it like, not well done?
It was being built up, though. If you watched the film, I noticed it was being built up, and like in some of the things, I don't think it's a total cop out though. Because that's what it was being built for.
Yeah, I don't think it's a cop-out because at the end of the day, like the tension is resolved. They killed all the doppelgangers and they're on the run, and you just see all the clones holding hands across everywhere, So I don't necessarily think it's a cop-out. I think it resolved the tension in an interesting and fun and crazy way. So like I wasn't left feeling unfulfilled or unsatisfied.
When I watched Us, I kind of went into it with like a blank slate. I feel like a lot of people went into Us watching it looking for metaphors, looking for like, well, this really means that. They're trying to like, if you go into it without having Get Out in the back of your mind, I think you would just enjoy it for a horror movie because it's a very competent horror movie. It's creepy.
It does deliver on those creepy aspects, especially.
Oh my god,
those doppelgangers.
And it's got a nice mix of like humor and horror, which I think Jordan Peele is like one of the very few people who can kind of deliver both.
And that leads us into Nope, his newest film, which is man, I'll tell you that. It's not too many spoilers because I'm assuming all three of y'all seen it. I didn't get a chance to see it. But I'm gonna probably see it on my vacation or when I come back. But dude, when that poster came out, I immediately thought, I'm like, why is it about a cloud with lights on it?
There's something out here. Yeah, nah.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Nah. No. Nope. Hell no.
Like I thought that was like.
You mean you weren't getting alien vibes?
No, I was just like, I'm like, it's about a cloud. And then the first trailer came out. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a saucer. And I'm like, oh.
Well, let me ask you this: have you seen the second trailer or the final trailer?
I saw the final trailer, so I knew exactly. Right. But before that, I saw a TV spot when they're like, nope, and they saw that. I'm like, okay, that's aliens. Like I knew that's what's confirmed because like when I went to go see Dog, they played that trailer in IMAX, and then I saw a clear view of it. The first trailer, I'm like, oh, because I thought it was like lights attached, but it's just the ribbons, and I was like, dude, like. And then when my sister said, you know what Nope stands for, right? I said, what? Not of planet Earth. I was like, I did not realize that in the first place. Like, but yeah, Nope is an alien invasion movie. That's what at least I know, but I'm assuming that it's probably wild like that. So what did you guys think of Nope from what you guys saw it?
All right, John, you pick us off first.
Speaking about what you said about the poster, I remember seeing that teaser poster. It's just like a cloud and like the ribbon hanging down. And I'm like, I'm getting Back to the Future vibes. Do you guys ever like remember like the DeLorean, like the ribbon hanging down?
Yeah.
And like Doc and all? Yeah. And then that second trailer I think showed too much, especially that one shot of like the flying saucer during the daylight was just way too much to show. And I don't want to go into spoilers, but there's a couple of scenes where they are shot during the day, and it's not as effective. It's not very good. There's a lot of the third act is during the day, and as much as I enjoyed this movie, those dark scenes, man, in IMAX, scary as shit.
Really?
But yeah, and a lot of it you can see kind of online, like him looking up at the sky. But definitely, I would recommend seeing it in IMAX because I've heard a lot of people say this, that the blacks are not rightly done. So if you go to like a crappy movie theater and like they don't have the bulbs right and stuff like that, you can't make it out. I've heard people complaining about that, which kind of sucks. But like I said, I would rank it just side by side number 2. I liked it a lot. Same with Us. Nothing as good as Get Out. That movie is just lightning in a bottle, and now he's trying to recapture that more and more, but it's still an extremely competent film. It's well directed, good cinematography, acting's great. The only issue I had with this movie really is its cohesion, in the saying that you have 2 storylines going on. With Kiki Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya, you got like the main plot point A, and then storyline B involves Stephen Young, who's doing a whole separate thing. And I wanted those 2 storylines to meld together better so that you didn't feel like you were watching 2 separate movies. Stephen Young's character altogether, I'm curious if you cut him out, if the movie still works, because he doesn't feel like he's in the same movie.
Yeah.
I wish they had more scenes together, and they don't. But I still thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just nitpicks, I guess. And like I said, I'm sorry, go ahead. Like
I was just going to say that was the same thing I had the issue with, because like, I understand like when they cut the certain scenes, I don't want to, actually this would spoil it. So I'm not going to go into it too much. It does feel like 2 separate movies, especially with the Stephen Young. And I think if you do cut it out, it'd feel like not a whole different movie, but it would feel more precise and tight together, I think, without that. Sorry, my dog is sneezing on me. You good? Yeah, but I enjoyed seeing it in IMAX as well. I will agree to that, because I also heard the same thing about the darker elements in the light bulb situation. I heard about that too. So I was very happy to see this with IMAX, because also given the fact that they filmed this with IMAX cameras, and they went all the 9 yards to film this movie spectacularly. And I love the cinematography in it. And I like the fact that Kiki Palmer gets to see more of a performance. She goes more with this movie than I've ever seen her with before lately. Because I watched her in Alice, if you guys are familiar with that that was released earlier on this year. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Nah.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. No. It's okay if you're not. It was an okay film, but but I love seeing her in this film more because it really shows off her acting chops. But as for Daniel Kaluuya, he's better in Get Out, even though I liked him and Kiki in this film together.
So, John, you mentioned that the second trailer gave away too much. Did it give away too much where, like, if I went to see the movie like tonight and I rewatched the trailer, would it be like, oh, I can tell like what parts are from it, or does it actually or do they still not show a lot in the?
I feel like they show like most of Act 1 and Act 2 and parts of Act 3.
So I'd say the same as the Get Out. I'd say the same as the Get Out trailer, because I don't know if you guys remember that Get Out trailer showed a lot from the movie, from the first 2 acts of the movie, like a lot, almost giving you like the basic plot for the first 2 acts of the movie, just without the third act twist, so that's what I'd say on it. What were we gonna say, Matt?
Anything with aliens, like as far as marketing trailers, should be as minimalistic as possible.
Yeah, I love aliens and everything. I'm an ancient aliens enthusiast. I've gone down that rabbit hole, so it's been a wild few years for me. But like when I found out, I feel like an alien invasion film is just good for him, because I feel like, did you guys know his thought process? He gets high when he thinks of these movie ideas.
Let me put it this way, because I want to get into spoilers, but I want to tiptoe around it. For the things that you haven't seen from the trailers, I found to be underwhelming a bit.
Even how the way the aliens look, because I feel like they show you what they look like. You're like, really?
We can get to that. We can skirt around that for a bit. Here's what I'll say about the movie. It's that it's both his most ambitious and yet his most frustrating movie.
Yes,
is kind of what I can say, because it's a movie that, again, very similar to Us, is trying to grasp at something that is so friggin' like not high concept, but so really, it's something that's so obvious that like you would think that we would all think about it, which is this idea of like kind of the exploitative element that comes with entertainment, right? I talked about this a lot with the podcast that I recorded on Sunday, right? With the whole thing is it's like they're trying to just capture the existence of this, of this thing, whatever it is, they don't, right? The Oprah shot, exactly. They don't know what it is, but they're trying to capture it's some form of existence, but there are just so many long stretches where it feels like he's trying to emphasize more on the metaphor, but it feels like there's not as much happening. Again, the film is so expansive, almost to a fault, because it feels like there's just long stretches of the movie where it feels like there's just nothing happening, It feels like he's trying to increase tension, but there just doesn't feel like there's that much happening. I feel like certain of the performances don't work for me. Daniel Kaluuya is very much underplaying his part. I don't think he necessarily works. Keke Palmer is the one who I really, really liked in the movie a lot. There's also a subplot in the movie that goes back to there's a subplot that goes back to a children's sitcom from the 80s that involves a chimpanzee.
I was gonna say,
that is one of the most effective sequences I've seen of the year.
Gordy.
There's another sequence that goes back to the first moving image, which is the first black man captured on the moving the black man on the horse, the galloping horse, the one that was captured by Edward Muybridge. There's connections to that as well. But what I can say is that it's a movie that, well, once again, it presents its themes and what it's about. I don't necessarily know if it offers any sort of catharsis or resolution or kind of proper application of it. It's another one of those movies that feels like it's just trying to demonstrate it for the sake of demonstrating. And I think that's why, for me, it's his least effective one, because even with Us, at the very least, the horror elements of that were enough to where it's like, okay, like I can still kind of enjoy this just like a horrifying movie. This one, I don't really know just like how much I really just enjoyed watching this as a movie, as opposed to where it's like, okay, if it wasn't Jordan Peele, I don't know if I would be that super interested or invested in it,
Yeah.
So is there an underlying metaphor for horses? Because I really felt like that was the case for the lot of the marketing.
Not with horses, I can say. No, horses is part of a larger apparatus of entertainment, I can say, yes, because the whole thing is they own a horse ranch that sells horses out to be utilized in like commercials and stuff,
or like
that,
films and everything, because it's called like Hollywood horses.
Horses, something like that. Yeah, and
Haywood Hollywood horses.
Hollywood horses. Thank you.
There we go. Yeah, and Stephen Yeun's whole thing is Stephen Yeun is buying a decent amount of their horses. That you'll come to see why in the movie.
I did see. I don't want the spoiler, but I'm assuming something goes down when he has the horse in the phone booth, and I'm assuming that I'm gonna guess that the aliens are attracted to the horses, and then something happens, because why was the lady's face all ripped off when
you'll find out?
So you'll find that out. They do tell you that in the movie.
Yeah, but that is the most disappointing thing, because like everyone saw that trailer with that shot and assumed one thing, and it was completely unrelated.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, okay.
I was kind of freaked out at that point, because I was like, oh man, this could get really, really scary. Like, why is your face ripped off? And now I'm talking about it. Why now? It goes back to something else, but I don't want to talk about it because it makes sense to what.
It's fine. I'll watch it. Okay, so without spoilers, how is the ending? Because I haven't seen spoilers or anything, but I've heard people who are very split on the ending.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I look, like you said, there's a lot of things in this movie that when you leave the theater the day after, when you start to think about it, you're like, does that really make sense? There's a lot of that in this movie, but I was entertained every minute I was watching it because of the acting, the cinematography, and stuff like that. But as far as what was your question? Is the third act disappointing?
Yeah, like the ending.
What
was the ending like?
How it concluded?
I feel like it does deliver resolution, but it could have, like I said, cohesion. It could have been done better. There's a lot of things. Keith David is in this movie, and he's kind of like but there's a flashback later that kind of ties a little bit of this together. I wish they used more Keith David flashbacks. I wish they gave him more dialogue. I wish there was more emotional heft between all these characters to make it really sing, because there is a little bit of messiness with this movie, and that includes the ending. But it's like I said though, it's still better than most every whatever movie
It's
comes
still
out every
better
week.
and more interesting than like pretty much every movie out there. But like it does have its fair share of problems. What I'll say about the ending is it's almost like there's this kind of metaphorical switch that happens where they kind of acknowledge where their kind of quest in order to capture the existence of this thing turns from a quest for profit for just like a quest for survival. And it's almost like then like once they've kind of fulfilled that symbolic metaphorical switch, that's when they're almost like allowed to gain capture of this thing. There's also, I'll say, a switch where kind of the alien form is finally revealed in the third act is what I will say as
I have a feeling it's the dolls that were showing the trailer, but I'm gonna be so disappointed if that's not the case.
Yeah, we'll let you see it once you see it.
We'll let you be in the surprise.
I probably make a video like, what the hell is this?
That's about all that I can say without like completely just spoiling it.
What about you, Chris?
Everything that happens.
What about you, Kristen? What do you think of it?
Kind of going off what Jon was saying, I was entertained. However, I did think this was the slowest moving Jordan Peele film. The timing wasn't great, however, I felt the ending could have, like I just said, it could have been tighter. I like the way it concludes, but then it makes you say, like what we were just talking about, does it make sense? And I'm a little bit on the fence with it now. I like compared to the other endings, I was like so in awe of those and like just blown away by the other endings. Even the ending in Us, I was like, even though it was like hinting what I was going for that, like I knew what the outcome for that was going to be. However, for this, I was just like, okay, not like, now it makes you question to say, is it a cop out? No. Going back to what we were talking about.
So is the soundtrack fire? As long as the soundtrack is fire, I can dump my feet because they played that night. It's like bug confusion.
I'm not gonna lie. For me, it was his weakest soundtrack yet.
Damn,
I loved it.
I
absolutely thought it was great.
I'm not saying it was bad. It was a good soundtrack, but for me, out of his three movies, it was his weakest one.
I can agree with that too.
I guess the last question is that. So Dom, you did mention the whole profit to survival.
Yeah.
I did read a theory on Reddit, and it said, like, what if Keke Palmer is the villain of the movie because she's trying to capture the aliens?
There's a moment early on in the movie where they make you think that she is going to be kind of the antithesis to Otis, but I think they do a good job of kind of setting up her character struggle as far as why she kind of has this differing edge. I think that by the end, she kind of earns her spot at the end, even though, yes, she is the one that is kind of pushing it. Because what I'll say is that she definitely gives Kaluuya the push, but like Kaluuya has already got enough of a strong urge to begin with because obviously of what happens with Keith David at the beginning. So he's already got a strong urge. He's like, yeah, I want to find out what the hell's going on here, So I don't necessarily know if I buy into that.
She's the real villain. True Jackson VP did it all.
No, True Jackson VP, we love her
Jackson
here.
VP.
But since we've talked about all his movies and everything, so I want to ask y'all a question. From his least best movie, because I don't think any of his movies are like the worst. So like from the least favorite to your favorite, how would you rank all three of Jordan Peele's movies, and what would you like to see from him next?
Get Out's obviously his best, then Us, then Nope. I think it goes in descending order since its release.
Yeah, I mean, I would, like I said earlier, I would put Us and Nope in the number 2 spot, just because like I haven't seen Nope more than once, and despite its flaws, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I like Us more than most people. You were asking about the third act a little bit. The third act is fantastic. Like, there's that scene in that trailer. You've seen it, like when he's on horseback and the shadow is coming over him, and the music, the violins come in. Like, even the trailer kind of gets me all choked up. Like when he sees like the sister and they kind of do like one of these. Like, it is great. I think what people are talking about are like literally the last couple of seconds where like they do a thing and you're like, oh, and then credits and you're like, well, that's me shrugging for those listening on the podcast.
Yes.
So yeah, but yeah, that was my final thought. I didn't know where that thought was ending, so keep going. The third act is
I'm actually in the same boat as Jon as well. I mean, Get Out is, probably the best. And then I would have to say like Us and Nope are like a tie because I've only seen Us once and I've only seen Nope once. And I think like if I had to put one over the other though, Us versus Nope, I would have to say Nope because I love the performances more in that one than in Us. Because I'm a sucker for Keke Palmer.
I was. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like I would have to see Nope and Us both again. Kind of like Fight Club. Jordan Peele has a thing about him where, like, if you get so much out of the second viewing because you know how it ends.
That's how I got to love Get Out a little bit more. Like when I saw it in theaters, it was such a different theater experience. And then, I went to film school and seeing it over and over and over again, I was like, I like this a lot more now, just from talking, with people about it, and that's the great part about his movies. I think they're rewatchable.
Yeah, I'll definitely say I do have to. I haven't seen Us since I saw it in theaters back in 2019. I only saw Nope a couple days ago. I definitely do want to rewatch both of them, but I do agree with you in that sense. My whole thing is just whenever I rank movies, it always comes down to just personal enjoyment for me. And obviously, Get Out is the one that I've enjoyed the most. But I just enjoyed watching Us more than I enjoyed watching Nope. Is kind of what it ultimately comes down to.
Also, if I can, like, I feel like Nope is not gonna hold up as well on my TV.
Probably, yeah.
That's the biggest problem with Nope.
Because, that's the only one that's been explicitly shot for IMAX. Like, he famously got Chris Nolan's cinematographer Hoyt Van Hoytema for this one, and it shows.
So my two questions are: what other projects do you want to see from him? Do you want to see him maybe take on a remake of an existing IP or do something original? And I'll ask the other one after you guys don't answer this one because I think it's funny.
I want to see him keep doing original stuff because he's one of the only people that is still doing original stuff in Hollywood, and those are becoming more and more rare by the day. So as far as I'm concerned, again, it's one of those things where it's like I don't care whether I like them or not per se, just the fact that he's doing such these wild out there original concepts. I'm like, go for it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, he's kind of got his finger on the pulse and can kind of do like a Twilight Zone thing, but we've seen what he's done with Twilight Zone.
Yeah, and that was
that was terrible.
Wait, but you guys didn't like the Twilight Zone?
The new one with him?
Yeah, you guys didn't like that?
I didn't like the first season, really.
No,
I liked that.
I had a hard time getting into it. And the thing about Nope too is that, like, I think people don't love about it is that you're trying to take this big tent pole of a movie and blend it with a genre that's kind of like a small indie horror that he's known for. So the bigger Jordan Peele becomes, you're trying to blend these two, and sometimes it doesn't work. I think that's kind of the problem with Nope sometimes. We were talking about Marvel before about how, like, sometimes it could be a little bit more like sterilized, or producers have more say in it, and like it's less of like an auteur type of deal. I guess as far as like the future, I don't want him to become too mainstream and kind of boring.
Okay.
I don't think he'll ever be boring.
Same. I don't think he'll ever.
I think people are going to go back for the skeptical aspect. I mean, Nope did relatively well this past weekend. I don't think as great as most people thought it's going to be. Box office wise.
Well, it's competing with Thor: Love and Thunder, so it's going to be an uphill struggle anyway.
Well,
and it's also competing with Minions. So.
Yeah, but it's been 2 weeks, and also keep in mind, aside from Bullet Train, Nope really doesn't have any competition for the rest of for the next couple months. Because so you got Bullet Train in 2 weeks, then you have Don't Worry, Darling at the end of September, and then
Black Panther. And Halloween.
Well,
not Halloween.
So Halloween and Black Adam, but those aren't until the end of October. So that's a full two and a half, almost 3 months of essentially no competition. So I definitely that's something
there's
to
some
take
like
into
other
consideration
horror movies
as well.
that are coming out as well, but I don't think for big skeptical theater wise, if you want to go to the theater and get a big theatrical experience, I think it still has some chances to make some money.
Because we all know the real movie we're all excited for is Avatar 2, right, guys?
Oh yeah, that movie is finally coming out.
Will not let this one hang up on me.
But the one last question, and we'll get to wrap it up. Do you think all of his movies are connected? Because this is my theory I have.
I hope not.
They have this with every single auteur director. Are their movies connected?
It's the J.J. Abrams effect where, like, 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield Paradox, they weren't originally supposed to be in the universe. He's like, we're just going to slap this thing here and it's in the universe. So, like, do you think that Daniel Kaluuya, he escaped from Get Out and then he went down to like California, and then they got like under control the hands across America, but now he's dealing with aliens? Like, what if it's revealed that's all in the same universe?
I don't want
that to be the
case.
It's a wild theory.
Yeah, I don't want that to be the case.
I mean, only if we get a shot of like an alien abducting like the hands across America.
Oh my god, wouldn't that be wild? It just scoops them all up at once.
I bet you
like a vacuum.
I bet you if J.J. Abrams did that movie, he would probably, like, at the end he had the spaceship go into like New Mexico and like swooping up. It was like, wait, what the hell is still going on?
I also don't think you can bring Get Out into like a sequel. Like, I don't want to see more from that Get Out universe.
Same. But like that was an open and shut, like complete.
It's a perfect story. Yeah, leave it alone.
Oh yeah.
Now, Us, I would like to see more from Us. I think Us could actually lend itself surprisingly well to a sequel.
What would you do in a sequel though?
Oh, just show them traveling across America, trying to avoid all the country, trying to avoid all the rest of the doppelgangers. You know, they could run into other survivors. You could literally do a whole like apocalypse branch off story from Us.
You could probably do well as a TV series.
Yeah, I think.
I was gonna say that sounds like Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Why not?
But no, Jordan Peele actually did say that never say never to a Get Out sequel. I was like, no, please no.
No, please.
Like, how would that work?
Say that to quote
unless he
Sopranos,
does a prequel of something of like how it started.
But they kind of explained that in the first movie, though, and Get Out.
Yeah, I know, but then they'll do anything, though.
At best, all I would want to see is like one of the characters from Get Out appear as a cameo in a different movie. I don't want a continuation of Get Out, though.
Yeah, no. Get Out was open and shut. Like, that one doesn't, I think, lend itself for a sequel. But like I said, I just wanted to keep doing original ideas. Stop with the sequel talk. Just keep doing original ideas. Like that,
maybe he'll actually do a Candyman movie and not be the producer.
I would like for, do you know what I like him for do? Direct a horror movie and then bring his co-star in, his friend.
Yes, like why
Keegan Michael Key?
Keegan Michael Key, bring him in.
That'd be good. Yeah, Keegan Michael Key's been doing too many Disney movies recently. Bring him back into something.
Get out of the prom and do something fun. That's actually fun and horror.
Well, everyone, what did you think of Nope? If you've seen it, what do you think about Jordan Peele? Is he the new Hitchcock? Let us know down in the comments below. Let's get it and wrap up this episode, shall we? All right, so we're wrapping up today's episode. This has been probably, I won't be surprised if this episode clocks in a solid 2 hours. The first ever 2-hour episode.
Good luck editing this, Mac. Thank goodness I'm not editing this week.
Go to hell. But Kristen, what is the M&K upfront? Like, what do we got coming up?
All right, we're taking a break. Mac is going on vacation and I need a break. So Mac, enjoy your vacation. I can't wait to hear about it. Take nice photos, spend time at the beach. And then when we come back, we're going to go back in time and review The Orphan because we have the new Orphan coming out starring Julia Stiles.
And the same person from the first one who's my age but de-aged.
Yes, honestly. So stay tuned as we review the Orphan films, and that's what we got planned along with some celebrity interviews if we get those, and maybe some other Blu-ray reviews that we get sent. If you want to send us Blu-rays, send them on over to the M&K Productions Podcast at gmail.com.
One more thing before we go out, we asked all our guests this might as well. So Jon, Dom, 2022 is almost over. What has been your favorite films and what has been your worst films that you've seen so far this year? I'll start off with Jon. What are some films that you've loved and what's some films that you've hated? And why is Uncharted one of them?
You know what?
Uncharted.
I'm gonna throw it over to Dom first because I need to look at my letterbox and see what came out in 2022.
I got some easy answers for this one. My best movie of the year, my favorite movie of the year is Everything Everywhere All at Once, followed closely by On the Count of Three, which is Gerard Carmichael's directorial debut. And my least favorite movie of the year is not Morbius, surprisingly enough. This is gonna shock all of you. It is Pixar's Turning Red. I didn't think we were gonna get a Pixar movie that stooped as low as Incredibles 2, Brave, and Cars 2.
We got one. Okay,
we got one, people.
We need to know why did you not like Turning Red? Because that was a very divisive Pixar film.
Oh man, where do I even begin? The kind of over sexualization of middle school girls, which in any format is just uncomfortable for me, but in a Pixar effort, it's just even more uncomfortable. The kind of going against the founding principles of Pixar, which is Pixar films are always supposed to be timeless, and this one could not have been more set in the modern day time and trend. if they could possibly have tried. I didn't find the coming of age arc particularly compelling, despite the fact that I thought they tried their best, especially given the immigrant story. I just thought that they just kind of missed the mark on all accounts. And also, why is it set in 2002? There's no reason for it to be set in 2002.
It's set in 2002. I didn't even watch it yet.
They go out of their way. They go out of their way. There was a big title card at the beginning to say, this is in 2002. And I'm like, what? Because they're trying to make it like because the whole crux of the movie is they're trying to get to like a Backstreet Boys / NSYNC concert.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Because those are the
But they have like phones that flip phones and essentially act like smartphones. They have like social media. And they start this whole social media.
They still had block phones
campaign.
in 2002. They were like the robot phones.
So
now they had
consistent with that.
There's
and
a Nokia, you know.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Not to mention, it's annoying. It's so annoying.
No.
Like, did you not like the metaphor of puberty being?
Oh, I got that. Oh, I got that. It was very obvious there.
I didn't watch it yet. I just was like very skeptical about it.
Do yourself a favor. Trust me. It's not good. It's really not good.
I feel like I'm going to watch Lightyear over that.
Wow.
Wow.
But I didn't think. Yeah, I remember turning around to something. It was like, if you don't like it, then you just don't get it's a kids movie. Like, I don't think it's a kids movie that people are confused about. But
no, because I've seen plenty of other kids movies this year that were good. The Bad Guys, The Sea Beast, Apollo 10.5, Strange World coming up looks pretty good. Like, there's still some good animated movies coming out. They're not all made by Disney and Pixar anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the big one to look out for is the Skydance animated movies that are coming out on Apple TV Plus, starting with Luck this year.
Yeah,
because
that
because you guys know who's behind that, right? Former Pixar CEO John Lasseter, who's essentially trying to start the new Pixar with Apple TV, and which is ironic considering that Apple TV, Steve Jobs was an original founding member of Pixar. But so it's all come full circle. So watch out for that one. Is all that I'm gonna say.
I'm looking forward to that one. That comes out the same time as Bodies, and Bullet
same
Train.
weekend.
So it's
Same
week.
That's gonna be a big weekend. That's gonna be a big weekend. Yeah, and Kristen, you'll be on for that one. So.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna pull my hair out watching all three movies.
You'll be fine.
How about you, John?
So if we're going for the best, like I love The Northman, but my favorite's gotta be X. X was just like right down my lane. I love horror. It's a great homage to like the late 70s, and I could watch that movie again and again.
That's also a good one. That's also
okay. Go ahead.
Pearl's coming out.
Yes.
Yes.
In fact, if you want to,
yes, it is.
In fact, if you since I can't think of a plug, if you want to do a plug, I could do a plug. I have a Pearl trailer breakdown on my channel. You can't find the Pearl trailer, but I did, and I use like still images frame by frame, and I break it down. So if you want to see that, go check it out on my channel.
Pearl trailer? I want to see it.
Go check it out on my channel. It's Burns Reviews. Just type in Pearl trailer breakdown. It's the first thing that comes out. I break down the entire trailer. And I can't wait for that one too. I think Ty West is fantastic. I just watched The Devil. What is it called? The House of the Devil. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I love X. But on Burns Reviews, go check out the Pearl trailer breakdown. And as far as my worst movies of 2022, it's a 3-way tie between Firestarter, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake.
Yes!
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson in Man from Toronto.
Oh no,
Really?
that wasn't good. That wasn't
Really?
good.
It's funny. I watched that with my girlfriend over the weekend, whatever weekend it came out, and it was late. It was like probably like our second or third movie, and it was bad in the beginning, and we just kept drinking harder and harder as the movie went on.
That's the way to do it.
Hoping it would get better, and it didn't. Which is really saying something, because you can win me over a little bit with a 6-pack, but like if that doesn't work, forget it. It's just Woody Harrelson doing his like Tallahassee thing, which is fine, and Kevin Hart just doing his like, hey, what's going on? That's all he does. It's like those bad commercials he's in for 90 minutes.
Yeah. I also wanted to give a shout out to some other good movies that came out this year. Cha-Cha Real Smooth on Apple TV Plus.
I just watched that.
I loved it. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
What's it called? Hustle with Adam Sandler on Netflix. I'm like, Adam Sandler, just keep making movies like that. Just keep making movies like that. And of course, Kristen, even though I know this movie didn't work for everyone, but it's Alex Garland, so it's close to my heart. Alex Garland's Men. I don't care if I'm the only person that's championing that movie. I think it's still worth watching.
I haven't seen it.
I know Alex Garland is hit or miss for people, but he hasn't missed for me. So
every time I hear
It's
Go ahead.
pretentious as fuck. Don't mind me.
Oh, damn, shots fired.
No
Hold up.
debating there.
Is it-
No debates there. No
Wait, is
debates
it-
there. It is
is
so
it-
pretentious, but I loved it.
When I watched the trailer, is it like Mother when it's that pretentious? Are we talking like that level of pretentious?
Ooh,
Yes.
Good question.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know if I don't watch that. I didn't like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, don't watch it. Mac.
every-
I know you and your horror Mac, and I know it's something you're gonna like. If I suggest it to you,
No,
you're like, why did you
but if it's
recommend me this?
If it's pretentious like Mother was so boring. I don't want to watch another movie like that because I was just that was like Darren Aronofsky being like, this is God and Mother Earth. I'm so
Artistic.
clever. Yeah, I don't know, man. It just seemed like very on the nose when I saw the trailer. It's like, oh, it's about Adam and Eve, but it's going to be an Eve's perspective. At least I think
You're giving it too much credit.
That's true, yeah. But John, dude, you mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think that's still my number one worst movie of the year. Like, there's nothing else that has like topped that.
It's the
for me.
characters, man. The characters are cringy.
Yeah,
It's not like
cringe characters.
yeah, it's not quite a satire on how annoying I guess like young people can be on Twitter, because it does feel like the worst of like the people on Twitter.
For
And
me,
it's-
it just
so
seemed
it's-
like another shitty Netflix movie that like was trying to be smart about like internet culture, but really just knew nothing about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's neither satire or serious. It's just bad. I
Yeah.
fucking hate that movie.
It's so bad.
What did you think about the line where you say, "Don't touch me, bro, you'll get canceled"?
Cringe, man. Cringe.
Like,
I think, yeah.
No, go
It's
ahead.
cringy internet culture at its finest in film.
And why they had to dig up the old lady from the first movie and have her do the same bad. I mean, she tries to
Wait,
imitate the laugh. Like,
did they literally show them digging her up? Because I feel
No,
like I feel like that kind of actually would have been pretty funny. If they
that was a
did
deleted scene.
The thing with that scene, because they tried to be like the legacy sequel, like Halloween was.
Right.
The problem is
It
that
was
at least
not it.
At least Jamie Lee Curtis and like Nick Castle are still alive from the 1974 Halloween film.
Mhm.
Gunnar
Right.
Hansen and Marilyn Burns, they both sadly passed away. So these are just two
Right.
different actors playing those characters. So I'm like, I didn't feel any attachment to that. Like,
No.
you remember
You,
me?
you think they cared? You think they cared? There was money to be made there. Good
No, they
sir.
realized
Besides, not
people
not
are gonna
every
watch
victim.
it.
Not every victim of trauma has to come back 40 years later. Some people could just move on with their lives.
Exactly.
It works with
No.
Jamie Lee Curtis's character, but not every character has to be that way, especially in that movie.
And then like one of the characters, wasn't her whole just trait like I was a school shooting survivor.
Yep, that
Yeah.
was her trait.
I was just like,
And that
I get it, but it just everyone was right. And then like the sister, good God, I hated the sister. so
The sister was worse than Elsie Fisher.
I'm glad they chopped her head off.
much. Dude, I laughed. That ending made me laugh so hard. Like I'm like, wait a minute, this is too happy. Yeet. And they're like, man, you know what she did? We get back. He's like, yeet. And then it's like that was the. And then they might do a sequel.
Yep.
They're making a sequel.
They said they're talking about it.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
we saw that post-credit scene.
Wait, there's a post-credit scene.
Well, the one at the very end of the credits that he's walking. Leatherface is walking to the house. Remember?
Oh, I don't remember that at all. I like how the girlfriend in the movie, they just labeled her girlfriend in the subtitles. Like, damn, you can tell that she's gonna die first. I knew
They
it. For a
didn't
little
even
bit.
bother to give her a
No.
name. They're like, yeah, she's out of there. We're not even gonna bother.
But man, like, what's his name? Fede Alvarez, man, he's been on a downturn because Don't Breathe 2 was a shit show, and then he produced this. And
I didn't
guy-
even get to watch Breathe 2 yet.
the guy who directed it, like Texas Chainsaw, that was like his second movie he ever did.
Has
Hey,
he directed anything since Don't Breathe? Like, 'cause I know he produced them, but has it directed anything?
I don't know. He's not that big of a director, really, is he? Like, what has
He's
he
like-
done besides?
He did the
Evil Dead
2013,
remake.
yeah, Evil
Yeah.
Dead remake.
Okay, that was all right.
Were you gonna ask
Quick
something,
question.
John?
Yeah. Because we're all talking about like Jordan Peele. I know he's not officially the director. He was originally going to be. He stepped down. But Candyman, he's an executive producer.
Yeah.
What are your takes on Candyman?
He
I
also
watched
co-wrote
that
the
for the
script,
first
too.
time.
Like he had a very big creative hand in that. You could tell his influences were there. And I surprisingly thought the movie was pretty compelling. I thought it had a good kind of underlying tone for the most part. Until the third act. The third act is where it lost me. And I'm like, what is going on here?
I
Like,
thought that, like, because isn't Nia DaCosta doing Captain Marvel too?
The Marvels, yeah.
I'm like,
Costa's doing
I
Marvels.
said, if this is an indication of that, what's that film's going to be, I will hard pass.
That movie's going to be crap. That movie.
Yes.
What are we building off? We're building off of Captain Marvel, the most critically maligned movie of all the first three phases since Thor: The Dark World, and Miss Marvel, which is a show that is so bad the critics have rigged it, like literally rigged it to the point where it says 8% or something like that, and it's like, oh yeah, that the Marvels is going to be so good. And you got the girl from Velvet Buzzsaw. From the girl from Velvet Buzzsaw that gets eaten by the thing is the bad guy. No, that movie's gonna be crap.
Oh no,
it's just gonna be a nightmare with that movie.
If Jordan Peele did that, I would have been down because like when you go into the trailer, like on YouTube, you look at the trailer for Candyman and you see the comics, everyone thinks it's a Jordan Peele movie, especially the way they're like saying my name,
but that's just because of the way they market it. That's just because of the way they market it. Because Candyman, that's her first movie, so.
And it's also a Universal film too, and I feel like Universal just took whatever they did for.
Well, yeah, they got to market it, and they know that Jordan Peele's a name, so.
I will say, like, I did like the fact they did pay respect to the first movie because this is a direct sequel, and it was like, you know, it's not like the Tony Todd one we know. All of them are like separate pieces of like, you know,
and how they kind of like expand out the Candyman mythos into it's like, okay, the Candyman, because I always thought that was kind of weird in the first one, where I'm like, wait, so the Candyman is only this one guy, but I like how they got into the fact of it's like, no, the Candyman is this entity that has come and possessed all these different guys, and then they're like, oh, he's gonna be the guardian angel, and I'm like, not like this. Don't do it like this, not like this.
It was very ambitious, but I really would have preferred if Jordan Peele did it.
Tell me how Coleman Domingo was it that and Zola that year? Like, well, man, they what were they doing with him?
I mean, Coleman Domingo is still great in that movie.
Oh, he's fantastic. It's still a fantastic actor. I'm just talking his character. Like, what?
Wait, who was he in that?
In Candyman?
Yeah.
He's the dude of Cabrini Green who's revealed to like basically like kidnaps his girlfriend and then like cuts off his arm and essentially gets him turned into the new Candyman.
Oh, he was the guy in
he's Ali from Euphoria.
I watched Assassination Nation on HBO Max.
Great movie. I will not hear anything against that. Is the best thing that Sam Levinson has ever done. That movie is so bad.
Can we have a debate right now with Dom and Mac just going back and forth about Assassination Nation?
Oh my god,
for like 2 hours.
I was one of the only people that watched that movie in theaters back in 2018, and I had a blast with it. It was so bad. It was so much fun though.
Oh, okay. You thought it was bad. Okay.
No. You misunderstand. You misunderstand. I recognize that it was stupid, but I had so much fun with it. But I had so much fun with it, I didn't care. Like that scene where it's like shows all the jocks like bumping each other up and like their dicks are like clapping together. I'm like, okay, like this movie knows exactly what it's doing. Like, come on.
It is pre-Euphoria. So
what is this movie?
It's
Assassination. Bill Skarsgård.
Basically, it's like imagine
Joel McHale is in it too.
Joel McHale is a hoot in this
John,
movie.
Imagine like a 13-year-old wrote The Purge, but he's like, I'm gonna throw in so many social media buzzwords. Like literally the beginning of the movie is like, here's a trigger warning: toxic masculinity, violence, terrorism. So I'm like,
it does that in the trailer too.
I'm like, this is so cringy. And then like literally the last line of the movie is, why'd you do it? For the lulz.
Oh.
And I'm like, I gotta
bad.
It's so
bad, but it's so great.
It's like, why?
We should do a watch along.
Every single minute of it. I had a blast with that movie.
I'd say watch it because it's like a funny so bad, especially like the editing choices is like, man, I got all these effects on Premiere Pro. I gotta use these like freaking split screen.
I love how everybody like hates that movie and then everybody loves Euphoria. And I'm like, we're really gonna say that Euphoria is better than this? Like, come on.
Well, seeing that the guy who directed that did make Euphoria, that makes a lot of sense. That's why
I still think the funniest thing that comes out of Euphoria is people having the gall to call that shit realistic. I'm like, oh, okay, pump the brakes here.
I mean, the only thing I get from Euphoria is like
I get there are people who do that.
Everything else is so fantasized.
That is the most hyper stylized, over the top soap opera I've ever seen. It's fun as hell to watch, but God, is it awful.
That's like saying 13 Reasons Why is a realistic high school show. But anyway, this has been a long ass episode. We recorded for almost 3 hours now. But
goddamn, Maxie, I'm happy I'm not in the Blu-ray review. Thank you.
Jon, Dom, where can the folks find you at? Of course, links will be in the description for both of your channels. So where can the good folks find you at?
You can find me at Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms. That's my personal one. Be sure to follow the official Talking TV podcast across all platforms. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. We have new episodes released every Monday on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we're also on TikTok as well. Be sure to follow us there. Again, it's at official Talking TV podcast, all one word.
And you can find me. I'm Jon Burns. I'm on Burns Reviews on YouTube. And if you type Burns Reviews into Letterboxd, I'm on there a lot. Instagram, Twitter, you name it. Just type in Burns Reviews. And you can watch that Pearl breakdown trailer.
Yeah. So this has been Matt, Kristen, Jon, Dom. You've been listening to the MBK Productions podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Me and you ain't on the same shit. You ain't in my lane, bitch. Nah, all that shit it fits. Rollie on my wrist. Ay, baby, you a star. I'm my only wish. I'm counting blue hundreds. I'm too money. Ay, and my little bitch, she too lovely. Yeah, hanging up and calling me right back. Ay, baby, why you calling me like that? Yeah, getting high with the seat laid back. Baby, gon' relax, yeah. Hey, they don't know the half, yeah. No matter what happened, I got your back.